So in today's transmission, I want to offer you an alternative path. Because for so many of us, we've been clearing and clearing and clearing, whether we think we are clearing our own karmic patterns and cellular memories, or whether we are aware that what we clear in our individual bodies is what we are clearing out of the collective unconsciousness on behalf of all. No matter what you've spent your lifetime clearing, you might be surprised and delighted to know that you don't have to spend your life clearing and purifying for an eternity in order to experience what is here to be tasted, savored, and embodied. Perhaps that resonates. I say that? Yes, I'd like that path. I'd like to put to an end the need for constant purification, healing, and clearing. Yes, sign me up for that. Yes. Even if I just say that, side effects include, who cares about side effects? Get me out of the clearing, purging. And before I talk about the alternative path, let me talk about if you're in a path of clearing and purging and unraveling. That's not necessarily wrong. It's just there has to come to a point in your journey where you transition out of that phase and into a new paradigm. Because you can be in the clearing and purification phase for just about forever. You can take any modality and shine a spotlight into yourself and clear out the cobwebs, try to shift the vibration of negative thoughts, empty out the reservoir of cellular memories, clear out the closet of past indiscretions, forgive all the characters in your past, from this lifetime, from all lifetimes, from parallel lifetimes. You can do all that work, and you might find that there just seems to be more stuff coming up to be cleared. Have you found that? That just when you think you've cleared it all out, you turn around and then look back and it's like it was never touched. At a certain point, you have to transition out of the clearing, healing, purification phase. So in order to understand the other journey, so you can just move your consciousness there. Because it's not as if you're on the healing phase and then there's a voice that says, oh, you're all complete. Now you are free to move to the other one. Basically, you're going to be in the healing purification phase until under the power of your divine authority, you move yourself to the other one. Because we are all waiting for the universe to tell us we're ready to move to the next phase. But you are the universe waiting for you to tell yourself what you can tell yourself today, which is under the power of my divine authority. I think I've had just about enough of this clearing, healing, purification carousel. I'm a little dizzy, I'm a little fed up. I'd like to move on to the next phase of my journey. And instead of waiting for someone else to cut the ribbon and officially signify that I am ready, willing, and able to do so, I think I'm going to be the one that tells me that. Doesn't that sound nice? And before we do that, let's talk about what's the purpose of healing, purifying, purging, and transmuting. Because there are a lot of healing modalities out there that teach you how to do all of these things. But what's the point? The point is that when you purge yourself of whether you call it lower vibrational energies, cellular memories, karmas, and what have you, you make room for higher vibrational energy to be anchored. Now that's true. And the crucial thing to know is that when you've cleared enough cellular debris, the way you begin anchoring higher vibrational energy is by becoming more aware of choices that contain more power and courage and consciousness within them, and begin to act upon those choices in your daily life. And what that really tells you is that if healing, clearing, purifying, purging creates the space so you can be more aware of the choices that are of a higher vibration for you to anchor and implement in your life, what if you aligned your focus with the game of just becoming aware of the higher vibrational choices, and at the rate at which you anchor those new choices throughout your life, the cellular debris disappears on its own. Doesn't that sound like a more fun game? So we heal, we transform, we purge repetitively to clear the space to become aware of the choices we weren't aware of before. If we can become aware of choices that are in our best interest to follow, we don't need to keep healing and clearing. One only heals and clears to come out of denial, to become aware of what was not aware of before. But if you're already an energetically sensitive soul, you're not unaware. In fact, an energetically sensitive soul is hyper-aware. Part of the problem is that there are third-dimensional base teachings that prepare you for your spiritual journey, that clear space, that transmute, heal, and purge. And if you're someone who is starting from unaware and moving into aware, it's a very good foundational basis. But if you're an energetically sensitive soul, you're not unaware needing to become aware, you are hyper-aware. And when you're hyper-aware, that means most of the teachings out there are going to give you spiritual license to not evolve, but to spaz out. Most of the teachings out there have really good intentions, but if an energetically sensitive soul gets a hold of some of these step-by-step procedures, boy, they can turn it into a whirlwind of confusion. Oh my God, am I accepting what is? Am I accepting what is now? How about now? How about now? Am I doing it right now? Oh my God. That's not what it's intended to do. Nothing on the spiritual journey is intended to make us spaz out. Here's a rule of thumb. If a teaching doesn't make you feel relaxed and slow you down, it's not the right teaching for you. Oh my God, am I awake? Am I asleep? I think I'm asleep. Am I awake? Oh my God, if I was awake, I wouldn't be asking myself, well, who's asking myself? Who's the voice that says this? Or who's the one who's witnessing it? Oh my God. Are you for real? Are you for real with that? Does that all sound helpful? No. You're energetically sensitive souls. You're already hyper-aware. What we have to learn how to do is take that hyper-awareness and ground it with the focus. What's the focus? The focus is the same thing that frees you from endless purging. The focus is the most powerful commodity in the universe are choices. And every choice has a vibrational frequency. And the choices that are most courageous, the ones that embody my highest wisdom, are of the highest vibrational frequency. And the more I make choices that don't match the unconsciousness of the world around me, but bring forth a new vibrational energy that implements and embodies my highest wisdom into action, starts to change how I feel in my body, then starts to change how I see the world around me, then over time will change the world that I see as I continuously anchor high vibrational energy for the well-being of all, just by every day using my choices to better myself, to become more courageous, to become softer, to become slower, to become more open, to become more receptive. And every day we wake up and say, may I be more conscious and courageous and loving and excited and grateful than the day before. And even if yesterday I was the most I've ever been, today I will even make that my new starting point and go where I've never gone before. When that interests you, you no longer will have things to heal. You will have no longer anything to process. You will not have anything to reconcile spiritually, because healing, purging, clearing, and reconciliation or processing is what we do to distract ourselves from the choices that await our arrival. You don't have to do it the way it's been done. You can do it the way it's always been meant to occur. And if we refuse to play the choices game, which is how outrageously courageous and empowered and loving can you be in a world of people that are not going to act that way first? When you play that game, this maddening chaos and craziness stops. And I will tell you, through all of my exploration, I will guarantee that when you give your attention to every day just making better choices and not judging yourself like I have to make good choices because I don't want to miss the window of ascension, that doesn't exist. We've already ascended. We're just playing out what has already occurred. So when you don't use this to judge yourself, but you use it to empower and inspire yourself, and it comes from that different place of excitement, and you say to your inner child, hey, because your inner child is the animated voice of your heart, hey, heart, I need you to tell me which choices are in our highest interest to choose so I can play the choices game. So that you can feel safe in this body and I can get out of Willy Wonka land. So what do you say, heart? Why don't we join forces, make a team, and together as one, you tell me the choices that are in my best interest, and I will free myself of needing to worry about choices. You'll tell me which ones to do. Those are the ones I'll act upon, and liberation will be discovered. One choice at a time. And not only in your personal life, but how you anchor energy to transform reality for others. Because we're all light workers. We are all clearing, healing, and purging the collective consciousness by the things we feel and think. Of course, obviously, not all feelings and thoughts are things that we're clearing. Some thoughts are inspirational, coming from our true divine essence to inspire and uplift. Obviously, some feelings are ones of guidance, but the negative repetitive thinking and the negative repetitive feelings are what we are clearing out of the collective just as we feel and think it. So what we are feeling and thinking that doesn't always feel nice is what we're clearing out of all. But wouldn't it be nice, instead of having to be the one that cleans and clears for all, if you can just shine and embody the light that brings to all what has already been cleared, purified, and cleaned, and just let the world reflect back what you bring forth. In order to do that, you must play the choices game. Because someone who's going to be a living example of wisdom to this planet is not going to walk around and tell people what to do. It's not going to go to family functions and give people spiritual advice. That's just going to stir up more triggers in you with more things for you to go home and purify and clear. Oh, I tried to give them advice. They wouldn't listen to me. Then it triggered me. Then I had to go home and do 5 more rounds of purification. Instead, I want to tell you what I did. I want to share with you my journey. Because there was one thing I did that no one ever taught me to do. I mean, my whole life I've had guidance from the universe. I've received, direct messages and wisdom from ascended masters and archangels, obviously. Then I went through the experience of discovering that they're all me underneath, and then there's still the play of talking to guides, but it's just a play within the universe. the universe playing in form. But there's something that I did naturally, and I knew instinctively that they didn't teach me. And I'm gonna share it with you today. It's one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Because what I started to realize in the beginning, when I started to be put in a position to teach 10 years ago, I realized something very important. I'll share it as the secret of success of any light worker. Because there is a secret, at least I think there is. And if you've never heard what I'm about to tell you, you should try it. Because what most light workers do is they sit in private and they purify and purify towards that inevitable day that they're going to be shiny and sparkly and then go out into the world and be a good light worker. Right? That's not necessarily how it works. Because you'll be in training forever. Here's what I did. I realized the secret of a light worker's success is that what happens in a session, or what happens in this transmission, what happens when you're working with someone, is a manifestation of the work you do in playing the choices game when you're not in session. So as a light worker, the most important time for me was not when I was with people, working with them, or with you right now. This is a celebration of what I do with my life when I'm not on stage with you. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I would go about my life, sometimes family functions, just wherever I would go. I would naturally just engage in conversations with people. Some people in my immediate circle, some people would just be strangers. And intuitively, I'd always have a sense of either, as they're talking, I would hear of something and think, if I gave them this spiritual advice, they'd probably be much better off in their life. But instead of giving them the advice, I would ask myself, what is the action step or choice that I would want them to make to better themselves? And whatever that choice was, I went home and implemented that in my life. And even if it was something I was already doing, I asked myself, how can I do this to an even deeper level? So that it wasn't me on my off time trying to tell the world what to do. It was me daring myself to do everything that the world inspired me to tell the world. Even if I was already doing I love yous and I was in front of someone who I thought could afford to love their heart more, I would offer them more of a loving compliment than I've ever offered anyone else. And then I'd go home and love myself longer and deeper and more courageously than ever before, just to raise the stakes. And every time I would do this, I would anchor such high vibrational energy that when I would then show up in a session with someone or show up in front of you, I had anchored so much energy that this was guaranteed to be a success and a reflection of what I do in my off time. So the secret of a light worker's success is not what they do when they're with someone. And every light worker worries about, how am I going to make sure that when I'm with someone, it all goes smoothly? The way you guarantee that is what you do when you're not with someone. Does that make sense? It's powerful. Or as an empath, like you, I'm very clear that what I'm feeling in my body when I'm around people is what is going on in their experience. I'm feeling what's unresolved in them. And so then I would ask myself, if this that I'm feeling is what's going on in them, what is the one action step or advice that I would give to them to bring resolve to this feeling? And whatever that answer was, I implemented that in my life. The secret of my success is that I constantly and always became the one who is the most willing to change and grow and not tell people what to do, but daring myself to be what I didn't need to wait for others to implement. The world would inspire me to bring up some piece of advice. I would figure out what's the action step in that advice, and then that was my next mission. And that's what I did. And that's how I energetically expanded and became who I am now, who transmits this to you. I transmit to you the infinite resolve of 1,000 clever choices, so that you can look at your life like a fun adventure and say, what are the choices that I can dare to make to better myself, to become more loving, to become softer, and to play this game of a life the way it's never been played before, for the well-being of all and for the sanity of my own innocent being. You will clear, purge, and heal until you start making different choices. There's no reason to berate yourself, because there's a second level of choices that you may not be aware that are available to you. See, when you are awake, you are residing as the freedom of will, meaning you are already free and you are aware of so many more choices than you ever thought were possible when you're asleep. Asleep basically means not a lot of choices. If someone's really asleep, they don't think they have any choice. But when you're awake, there are infinite choices. So I want to share with you what I call the invisible choice. Because you can look at your life and go, okay, I can do this differently, do this differently. And there are these obvious choices you can make. Then there's the invisible choice. The invisible choice is that another way to anchor high vibrational energy is not just in the choices you make, but taking the time to choose the most powerful reason for why you're making the choices you're making. It's part of the law of intention, is that when you consciously attach powerful reasons to a choice, that's the only determining factor that makes that choice more likely than not to bring you fulfillment. See, the illusion is that if I make this choice, I hope it makes me fulfilled. I made this choice, how come I'm not fulfilled? The choices don't actually guarantee your fulfillment. The choices are anchoring energy for a future unfolding. What guarantees your fulfillment are the most powerful reasons you associate to a choice. So just like someone that would buy tickets to go to a movie, they could say, I hope this movie puts me in a better mood. They can't guarantee the movie's going to put them in a good mood, but if they say, the reason for going to this movie is giving myself a chance to receive and be served and have a break from my life so I can open myself up and feel safe in my body. You associate and anchor a powerful reason to a choice, you'll be guaranteed to have a great time. It's very eye-opening. So it's not just the choices we make, but the reasons we have for the things we do. Give you another example. Let's say someone is at a restaurant and they order a lasagna. And the waiter says, would you like to pair that with a glass of red wine? And the person says, I never really thought about it. That sounds interesting. I'm curious about how food pairings work. That will be a nice adventure. That will be my way of opening up to something different and just seeing what it's like. And so because the reason associated was anchored in curiosity and innocence, there's a likelihood that that'll be a pleasurable experience. In a parallel dimension, the person orders lasagna and the waiter says, would you like to pair that with a glass of wine? And they say, after this stressful day I've had, I deserve a glass of wine. And now the reason for that is avoidance and to sedate ourselves. And because that reason is not as high vibrational as the other one, they're guaranteed to not be as fulfilled by it. And when you make choices without anchoring conscious reasons, you're not fulfilled by the outcome, and your soul is attracted to the same choice, almost like a redo. Like if you're filming a movie and they didn't quite get the right shot, we do a take 2 or a take 3 until we get it right. The soul knows I'm here to make this choice and use it as a chance to anchor high vibrational reasons. But I keep making the same choices, not producing conscious reasons with that choice. I'm not fulfilled by it, and I seem drawn to the same thing over and over again. And we fool ourselves to thinking maybe I'm addicted. Maybe I'm an addict. When you really get into consciousness, there's actually no such thing as addiction. There is a soul that is constantly drawn to the same choices, that's not conscious of the game of, if I learn to just give high vibrational reasons for every action, it will produce the fulfillment that satisfies that choice, and I actually won't be attracted to it anymore, because that part will be complete. It's amazing if you think of it like that. Unconscious beings justify their behavior, and it creates this cycle. But really, you're attracted to the choices that you're drawn towards, not because any of us are addicts. How dare we talk about the divine like that? None of us are addicts. Where we are souls that know we're here to have every experience, and we're here to use every choice to anchor the highest vibrational energy in every choice, and to practice associating to every choice the most incredible reasons for why you are doing what you do. And when you don't give good reasons for choices, you keep going towards that choice. Take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5, until you get it right. And then you trick yourself into thinking that you have a disorder or a problem, when all you have is an inability to understand that if you just gave a really powerful reason for what you're doing, you would fulfill what needs to be fulfilled in that choice, and then you would grow beyond the need to heal, clear, and purge that pattern, and you would step into the next level of consciousness. Does that make sense? It's powerful. Oh, is that powerful? That's a bombshell right there. Right? So all is one, there's God, but there's this sneaky ego that somehow was allowed into the game that makes us all desperate, unhappy, horny addicts. Can't be both ways. There has to be a greater reason for everything. And the reason is I'm constantly attracted to the experiences that will bring me a sense of fulfillment when I associate the greatest reasons with it. Even if you know there's a choice you're making in your life and it doesn't feel like the most productive one, that's just your beautiful, immaculate intuition saying, look, you're not going to do this forever, but you're doing it right now because you're using this choice to unravel judgment out of your field for the well-being of all. To unravel the idea that there's good and bad in anything. There's only what's good and bad for you. There's only what does and doesn't resonate with you. And even if you're doing something that doesn't feel like the most powerful, productive choice, if you associate the most powerful reason with that unproductive choice, you will then learn what you need to learn to transcend your own judgments, and you will then move on naturally without having to micromanage yourself and beat yourself up in the process. Could you imagine the evolution of a soul's intelligence that is in the midst of some, let's say, unconscious or unproductive choice? That's how we usually judge it, that we know this isn't good. I gotta lock the door, pull the curtains so my spiritual friends don't see me doing this. Make sure nothing's recording me. Turn off social media. And do the thing that you're drawn to do because you think it's wrong. And you say to yourself, I will willingly make this choice just to prove to myself that I live in a universe of all rewards, no punishments, and to prove to myself that there is no God judging me. You bring a powerful reason like that and then make an unconscious choice, and that will be the last time you're ever drawn towards it. It's amazing when you feel the power of what I'm saying. So if you're making choices that don't feel like they're anchoring high vibrational energy, maybe it's not the choice that's the problem. Maybe it's that you're not bringing good reasons to the act. And you bring good reasons to any act, and you will then transcend your own judgments so that you can reside in the freedom of will that says, I have the right to do whatever I want. Even if we understand the quantum level of reality, your whole life has already occurred before we even got here. Every choice has already been made from start to finish, even in parallel dimensions where it's playing out in infinite ways. And you thinking you're making choices is the experience of what it feels like to feel like you're making choices in a reality where choices have already been done. That's the determination part of it, but where's the free will? The free will is saying, hey, you may be following in a timeline where things have already been done, and you may be moving out of timelines where it's all been orchestrated and think that you're coming up with what's already occurred. But your freedom of will is not to think that you're in charge of making choices all the time, but that your freedom of will is that your choice is to choose the most powerful reasons why you do what's already meant to be. So you just get to come up with all the fantastical reasons for what you'll do. And the more fantastical and conscious and empowered of a reason you come up with for what you do, you then bring the higher vibrational energy into reality. You move into a timeline where then you find yourself naturally attracted to more empowering choices. So we all want to make better choices, and we all think clearing and purging is going to get us there, but what really gets us there is not only saying I'm worthy of making different choices, but not from a place of self-judgment, from saying in order to give myself natural access to the powerful choices that have already occurred, I gain access to that new reality by bringing new reasons to what I continuously repeat and repeat and repeat. I can see that this is resonating in a lot of you. Doesn't matter what you do that you think is wrong. The fact that you think it's wrong is why you keep repeating it. I shouldn't be doing this. That guarantees that you'll be orbiting in your reality for a while. Because we're attracted to the very activities that help us maintain our own self-image. And if you've built a self-image that feeds itself on feeling bad about itself, you're either going to feel bad about yourself because of the things you can't fix in other people's lives, or you're going to feel bad about yourself based on the choices you keep making that no spiritual path is helping you transcend. Because what will help you transcend the despair and pitfall of self-defeating choices and sabotage is you bringing incredible reasons to every mess you make. And someone in your life goes, look at the mess you make, and you say, yes, but I have very good reasons for it. And they're all very spiritual. And believe it or not, that will be, for many of us, a guiding light that takes us out of the endless clearing, purifying, where we're literally treating our spiritual journey like this energetic confessional booth, where we're trying to purge and purify and forgive so that we can beat out of ourselves what only we judge as being wrong. And so we are trying to evolve while we are maintaining spiritual judgments, instead of transcending judgments by giving yourself the right to do whatever you're going to do. And the more you give yourself a right to consider any choices being valid and say the universe will choose what has already been chosen, and it will only be for my greatest evolution, and I allow the universe to choose what it will already choose, I surrender to that only the universe is choosing this. So I can't expect to go to heaven one day and apologize to a God that's going to remind me that it was only the Lord choosing as you are. When you give your power to the universe and say, choose as you wish, I will simply sit here, experience what you choose, coming up with outrageous reasons for why it's okay. You do that, every pattern will stop. Going through the energetic ringer will stop. And in accepting that the most powerful choices have already been made by the universe, you will then find yourself stepping into a timeline where you seem to act out such powerful choices. And all you have to do is start bringing great reasons to the things you're so afraid to admit that you do. It's wild when you really see the truth of that. And some people will hear that and go, but that's just how you justify behavior and you make it okay to do things. See, that's the fear of the ego. I can't do that because I'm going to get caught. He's tricking me. I got to hold on. I got to control. I got to fight. Only one way to find out. And for those who feel the excitement of what I'm saying, you're willing to risk selling yourself on some fluffy spiritual bullshit, when in reality, what I'm actually telling you is the road to salvation. You come up with the most courageous reasons for why you do what you do, and to figure out a way of how it's serving the greater interest of all. Why is that powerful? Because the universe is what's within you making these choices. We can't go around with this old archaic belief that, oh, no, it's the ego doing that in you. I thought there was God. In the beginning, there's the Word. That's God. And God created everything, but somehow an ego slipped in the mix, and God goes, well, there's free will. Oh, well, that was almost a good creation. Nothing I can do now. That's not how this works. That might be how we perceived it up to a certain point, because humanity wasn't ready to see something beyond that. Now we are. That's old school. Because it's all based on a belief in the collective that there's more than God existing. If we're on the road to salvation, if we're on the journey of enlightenment, if we're here to ascend, there is nothing but God. Everything is God. So why is God dressed up as this character making ridiculous choices? Because I believe there's something other than God, and I judge myself as being separate from God, hoping to earn myself back into what I already am. So if God wants to make outrageous choices, I'm just going to come up with good reasons and watch my life transform within the blink of an eye. Some of us don't like watching the news. I totally understand. Energetically sensitive, it's very jarring. But if you happen to come across the news and you see anything that troubles you, challenge yourself. Come up with a good reason why God did that. That will change your entire mind. Why did God do that? And what you're going to find is that the power of what I'm telling you today is when you put aside your need to understand. Because understanding does not get you where you want to be. Faith does. The faith that says, through unwavering faith in my source, as the truth that I am now, I have only chosen this for the best, most profound conscious reason that will single-handedly, positively transform the entire world as I make this choice. And as I make everything a celebration of the divine's victory. And I see that this choice is only helping me transcend my own belief in spiritual judgments. I will find myself no longer resonating with the things I'm afraid to admit, and find myself drawn to the things that make me proud to be who I am. I mean, do you really think a successful spiritual journey is going to be someone saying to you, well, my success was I just berated and judged the shit out of myself until I changed? Do you think feeling bad about yourself is going to help you resonate with choices that make you feel good about yourself? The worse you feel about yourself, the more you're going to resonate with choices that keep you feeling that way. But it's not the things you do that make you feel bad, it's the reasons you have for it that make you feel bad. Yeah, I judged myself and I beat myself up and I just bullied myself until I finally made good decisions. Is that how it works? Just beat yourself into submission with words and judgments? That doesn't work. By the way, that doesn't work. Just FYI. Antagonizing yourself with spiritual phrases. Comparing yourself against other beings. Ridiculing yourself, how you're not measuring up to what some teacher or teaching states. Unhelpful. What if you ask yourself this question? What if I just came up with extraordinarily amazing reasons for why I do what I already do? And what if I only said things to myself that felt good? What if that was your contribution towards world peace? What if what you say to yourself and the reasons you come up with for your choices contributes to world peace by you just being one less bully in this world? What if the reason we feel unsafe is because we feel unsafe to be with ourselves? Because we're only a few choices away from meeting our greatest enemy when we look in the mirror. Oh my God, I really want to make that choice. Oh, but God, if I do that, I gotta face them. And I say this to you humbly, not only by making the choices that anchored the most high vibrational energy, which I was able to gain access to the reality of choices by accepting those powerful choices were already made and by affixing the most amazing reasons for the things that I was doing. But I survived life's greatest bully. And in my reality, life's greatest bully was me. And when I grew up in school, I experienced being bullied. And you know what those bullies did? They trained me how to hurt myself with words. And what I thought was anticipating the abuse of other bullies was me just continuing to inflict onto myself relentlessly what no bully ever dared to say to me. In the very beginning of my journey, way long ago, I tried to make the best choices to overcome the voice in my head. Sound familiar? And even if I did something that caused that voice to be silenced for a moment, then it came back. Oh, that was 1 second ago. How about now? You still making good choices now? I was the most relentless person I've ever met. There isn't anyone who will ever ask me a question that will even make me flinch. I've survived me, and you are surviving you. What the hell are you scared of when you've survived a relentless attack of someone who follows you around and just points out the cruelest things that makes you feel like the smallest, most insignificant piece of crap in this world? There isn't anything anyone can ever say to me that would even make me flinch. I could train them to destroy me in a much better way. That merciless bully, that attacker, has been surrendered and is now an innocent heart that asks you to surrender your inner bully and to stop judging yourself in the name of spiritual growth and progress, and just keep doing what you're naturally drawn to do and just make up some damn good reasons for it. Because if you weren't meant to do something, you wouldn't be drawn to the opportunity to consider it. It doesn't mean you have to act on everything that comes to you. It just means the universe dressed up as me is drawn towards this choice because there's something I'm going to learn. Yeah, you're going to unravel some judgment that says conscious beings act this way, unconscious beings act this way. Says who? Who the hell makes up these rules? Says who? Says who? Sometimes we have the greatest intention, we're trying to be these hyper-vigilant, hyper-aware spiritual students, right? Thinking that we have to put words together in a certain way, I can't say that. Oh, I said trying, I can't say trying. But what, you think the universe works like that? You think the universe requires you to act like that? Oh, you said trying, 5 more years of hell for you. Oh. You should grow past that. You should berate the crap out of yourself until you don't do that anymore. That's how I became the Lord. Just beat the holy crap out of myself till I became the Lordiest of all. Hypervigilant spiritual seeker is like someone with an energetic allergy. If someone has really bad allergies, one peanut can really change your day, right? One little peanut for someone can be devastating. For a spiritual person, how was your day? Well, it was good, but what happened? Did your dog run away? Did your house explode? I had a thought. What? I had a thought. Yeah, and what did the thought say? Oh, it wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. Is that what this is all about? Just nonsense? Where life can completely devastate you with a thought. You're sitting there and all of a sudden there's just a thought and you go, oh, that's not what being silent's all about. Oh, no. More healing and clearing for me. Oh, no. Sorry, I can't go with you to dinner. I gotta stay home and beat the shit out of myself. I had a thought. Oh, God. Oh, God, maybe this is a thought. Oh, God. Maybe this is a thought about a thought. Oh, God. A thought's thought. Oh, Jesus. A 2-for-1. A Groupon. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I can't go anywhere all weekend. Right? It's like we spiritually ground ourselves. We ground ourselves. Like, don't use spirituality to give you a timeout, right? Don't give yourself timeout. Just be easy on yourself. Have thoughts, okay? It's God having thoughts. It's God just playing and considering things. And you're only attracting the very thoughts, not only to clear it out of the collective, but to free you of whatever you personally judge. That's what brings things to you, is to free you of judgment. So you can have whatever thought, because even when you go into the stages of enlightenment, there's this stage where you come back. You come back to body. You come back to mind, personality. And a lot of people think, oh my God, it all went away. I've fallen from grace. Oh my God, I've fallen back into ego. No, that's called the return. That's the completion of enlightenment, where you come back to all the things you've cast away so you can embrace it as the love that you are. All right, a thought arises. Hey, good for you, God. Good for you. And then you'll be the fully enlightened being who returns to all your spiritual friends just to free them. Like, oh my God, I had a judgmental thought. Yeah, you go judge. Good for you. Judge the crap out of everything. Go for it. You want to know why people are inundated by this stuff spiritually? Because they think it's against the rules. What rules are they? You have a thought, no one can hear it. No one's listening to you. Only you are. It's the silliest imaginary form of self-importance. Oh my God, I'm having thoughts. No one's listening to you. Only you're listening to you. Oh yeah. It's like we use judgments to keep ourselves company. To push away aloneness. And alone is where we really wake up. So we work vigorously to improve ourselves, to keep ourselves company with our harsh judgments, just to not be alone. And yet when we're alone, we get to, it's not that we're absent of love, we get to be the one that loves us more than anyone ever has. Judgment arises, oh, good for you. Yay, mind, good for you. Someone walks up and touches your shoulders, you jump in the middle of the store, right? Throw oranges in every direction. Good for you. Someone looks at you, well, what's that all about? I'm feeding people. Oranges for everyone. Oranges on the house. Vitamin C for all. What if everything you did was right? And you just had to figure out the most radical reason why you just did that to inspire your highest evolution. Isn't that amazing? Like, you slip and fall. As far as slipping and falling is concerned, when you slip and fall, you're doing it correctly. Right? Someone goes, oh my God, you fell. I know I did. I did it totally right. I just nailed it. I might not even need a Band-Aid. Might need a Band-Aid, a shock blanket. Bring one of those. I'm going for it. What if everything you do is right? Isn't that an interesting way just to distill this entire teaching into simple terms? Your spiritual practice is to just imagine how everything you do is right. Even when something jumps out of your mouth and it horrifies you because you're freeing yourself of judgment and you're doing something you wouldn't be caught dead saying or doing, but you're only doing it to free yourself of the judgment of why you should watch yourself 24 hours a day. And it jumps out of your mouth and you go, well, that was appropriate. That was appropriate. It's okay, whatever choice you make. It's okay. There's always other countries to move to. And start over again, where no one knows what you've done. What if everything you did was right? I mean, can you imagine the implications of real liberation trying to talk to a spiritual ego, and you say something just letting the divine speak as it will freely, and someone goes, I think that's a judgment, and you go, I know, right? Isn't it great? That's totally a judgment. Yeah, precisely. That's what I was going for. I nailed it. And you made it official. And the liberated being says, okay, your turn. Now you judge. Spiritually goes, I don't judge things. Okay, me again. Let me do it. I want to do it again. That was really fun. It's all for fun. It's all for fun. The universe is so liberated, it's not in form. So being in form is a blast, because if it ever were to dissolve out of form, it's just out of one play into another one. It's like actors in a movie. They know they're in a movie, so they're going for the characters. It's a joy to be a character when you know you're an actor. It's wild to orchestrate actors when you know you're a director. And it's amazing to watch a movie when you know you're in the audience. The universe is so free, it's playing at full capacity. We have to just get onto this. What if everything I did was right? If you accepted that everything you did was right, do you want to know what would be activated instantaneously in you? Your intuition. And if you just trust that everything in you is right, and even you will have a feeling of this is totally true, you'll act on it, and it may not bring about the exact results that you desire, because it's you basically saying that was supposed to be this, it turned out not to be right, but that's just you working out your own self-doubt. That's how we work out self-doubt. We have to go, this is the right decision, and it blows up on our face, and we go, overcame another level of self-doubt. That makes sense? Or like, what if you're an intuitive? I've actually heard this, I've actually seen this happen before with intuitives I've worked with, helping to develop their intuition. And I had an intuitive work with a client, and they said, oh my God, I had this message come through, and I could feel it was the gospel of the universe just bringing through this message. You know, when you have that feeling of, I know I'm totally correct, the angels are blowing the trumpets, and, right? Hearing the soundtrack of gospel music and hallelujah being sung in the background. And I'm bringing through the most clear, intuitive message, and the person that I gave it to didn't resonate with any of it, and I was horrified. This person came to me once. They go, Matt, I totally felt the clarity, the flow came through, and everything that I thought was totally true was 100% wrong. And I said, well, sometimes we do that as a way of working out our own self-doubt. We almost manifest the most horrific circumstances just to get over that doubt. But what was interesting, as I said, what's interesting is that person came to you, giving their power to you because they thought you were clear as an intuitive. And by you giving them a wrong reading, not only does that get you over your self-doubt by living through your most horrific fear, but it lets them walk away saying, that wasn't true for me. I know more about myself, and they walk away more empowered in their intuition. So sometimes when you work as an intuitive, you're meant to totally bomb just to give people their power back. An intuitive is not there to be the dancing clown, the dancing monkey that gives you the answer that robs you of your journey. They're there to help you become more in tune. If you go to an intuitive and they tell you things that are clear about you, you only resonate with it because you know yourself the best. If you go to an intuitive and they bomb, they're working out their self-doubt, they're facing their greatest fear, and you only know how untrue their information was because you're clear in yourself. So what's the purpose of going to an intuitive? To reclaim your power and knowing that you are the power of your own authority. So it's safe to say I'm always right because everyone is right in their own reality. No one's wrong because we all share the same space, but we're all living in our own timelines. We're all living in our own worlds. So you have your own world, and the world according to you is always correct for you. And the people you're with, the world according to them is always true for them, and we don't have to agree on anything because we're not in the same world. The biggest problem or the biggest reason we have conflict is because we're trying to agree on things. If we accept that we don't have to agree on anything, life's easy. Oh, you want pizza? I want Thai food. I'm going to go there, you go there, I'll talk to you in a little bit. You go get a pizza, I'll get Thai food, we'll meet back here. Have a little potluck. We all live in our own worlds, and you are 100% right about everything in your life. What if you took this challenge and said, oh my God, what if I just said, and we all get kind of embarrassed, right? Like, is lightning gonna come strike me? What if I am 100% right in everything I do, and all I have to do is just come up with the most compelling reasons for why I do what I do? You mean I can do that? Yes, you can do that. And no one's watching me? No, just you. Just you. No one's watching but you. No one's judging but you. Freedom is yours. So let's dance in the perfection of our own immaculate glory. You being right about your world doesn't mean other people have to be wrong. You can be right, they don't have to be wrong.